So let's resume the topics. We were at 46. To what kind of people is Jodo Shinshu intended for? Is Jodo Shinshu a selective teaching or a universal teaching?
Okay. Okay, so the answer to this can be found. Of course, I will comment on it, my friends. But you can find it in the commentary of Tanisho by Joshua Sensei in page 63, although there are many other passages where you can find the answer to this question. Also, Shinra and Renio. I will just read this paragraph and comment on it. It says, while other Buddhist schools, especially those mentioned by Shinran, the first step is to recognize the possibility of every sentient being to attain Buddhahood in this life. Our Jodo Shinshu teaching begins with the sense of failure. When you are 100% that you cannot attain Buddhahood in this life, then you are ready for the Jodo Shinshu path. Okay? So the first consideration that we have to reflect upon is that all other Mahayana, Vajrayana schools that rely on self-power, yes, they start with the reflection of samsara, karma, and all of that, the four profound thoughts, the preciousness of human birth, and they have an heroic, an heroic sense, you know, and rightly so, because they need that. Yes, if you are truly going to swim to the other shore by yourself, you better start, you know, having these kind of thoughts, you know, if you are truly serious about this. Okay, so you have to be stress the fact that you can, yes, you can have Buddha nature and you will have the determination, even though that is not true, but eventually you will get there, you see. But in our sense, in our case, it's exactly the opposite, because we also reflect on the impermanence of samsara, birth, death, you know, the impermanence of our bodies. And also in Jodo Shinshu, we add the impermanence of our spiritual realizations. And also the, you know, our own weakness. So instead of reflecting on the possibility to attain strength, we reflect upon our really pathetic condition. You know, we cannot keep moral precepts. We cannot meditate. You know, we cannot understand the sutras. We cannot practice morality, wisdom, and precepts even to a decent level. We cannot, you know, not even talk about, you know, mastering these skills and mastering this path. So in our case, in Jodo Shinshu, we start with a sense of failure. When you are 100%, as Joshua Sensei puts it so clearly, that you cannot attain Buddhahood in this life. Okay, even though you have Buddha nature, yes. Okay, but this is like having a very beautiful treasure, and you are in a very poor house, but you have a beautiful treasure, but this treasure is like 2 kilometers below the ground. Okay, so yes, technically you are rich, but but in reality you are poor. Yes, so in our sense, yes, we have Buddha nature, but we don't have the means to access it through our own power. So in that case, we just let Amida do his job. Okay, so I will continue with the path of acceptance. Joshua Sensei continues, and he says, as long as you still harbor in your mind the smallest thought of personal merit or maybe I can kind of things, you cannot see and enter the Dharma gate of birth in Amida Buddha's Pure Land. Amida Buddha's Pure Land is like a country where everybody can emigrate without the least requirement, no visas, no special qualities, no anything. And as Shinran Shoni says, this is the way of easy practice, and this is the answer to the question properly. I wanted to make that introduction. This is the way of easy practice to be followed by those of inferior capacity. It is the teaching that makes no distinction between the good and the evil. I have to make to clarify something. That is not to say that Jodo Shinshu or the Pure Land path is only practiced by low spiritual people, because actually, if you read many Mahayana sutras, you will realize that there are many high-level bodhisattvas that still want to be born in the Pure Land. And there are actually quite many. According to many people said that Nagarjuna himself, who was a very first Bhumi Bodhisattva, was also born there. Many other great yogis and great practitioners will also be born. So what does Shinran mean by this? Is that in our case, we don't have a plan B. We don't have any other choice. In our case, if we don't take Amida Buddha's hands, it means more samsara for us. Whereas in the case of these bodhisattvas, not going to Amida Buddha's Pure Land means maybe staying in the higher realms, or maybe, I don't know, keep practicing Mahayana in another future life because they have their own merit. So they can continue. You could compare this to a person that is swimming to the other shore, and he is a very strong man, and he can go to an island, okay? He can take a boat, and he can get there faster, you know? But if you leave him alone, he will not drown, okay? He will get there, yes? Or it will be slower, maybe more difficult, okay? In our case, if we don't jump into the ship, then we are done, okay? Then we are in very serious trouble, you know? So in our sense, in this case, what Shiran is telling us is that this practice is especially, not only for that, because remember, according to the larger sutra, there are many high-level bodhisattvas that attain, that want to go to the Pure Land as well. Yeah, example of this is none other than Nagarjuna Bodhisattva himself. Yes, it's called the second Buddha. However, in our case, we don't have those merits, so we better take Amida Buddha's hand, no, and grab Amida Buddha's sleeves, as Master Renyo says. Then Yosho Sensei continues. He says, on the Jodo Shinshu path, we don't take into consideration the 4 practices of repose, the purification of the 6 senses or the negative thoughts, while we try to not take poison because we have the antidote, that is to intentionally do evil deeds in order to be born in the Pure Land, which is an heresy, yes? And we don't consider precepts to be the cause of any personal attainment, because we do not recognize any genuine personal attainment in ourselves. As Shinran said, the so-called good acts of an unenlightened person are always mixed with the poison of the ego. So these cannot be called true pure acts. Okay? So yes, in our case, of course, we entrust ourselves to Amida Buddha, but we still try to be good people, good Buddhists, to the best of our ability, because we follow the wise advice of Shakyamuni Buddha himself, who told us, do good and aspire to go to the Pure Land. We are not going to take poison, you know, intentionally. Yes, we take poison because we are foolish. Yes, not because we are following the advice of the Buddha. The Buddha wants us to be good. Even if we fail, we are invited to try, at least to try. Try to live a good moral life. Try to abandon meat if you can. Try not to take drugs. Try not to be an alcoholic. But if you are an alcoholic, if you eat meat, if you are an homosexual, whatever good bad thing that you do that it violates the Buddhist precepts, you know, still you can go to the Pure Land, because you go to the Pure Land through the karmic merits, transcendental merits of Amida Buddha himself. Okay, not
and
our
one
merits.
one more thing, you have to realize and to accept that you are a sinful person. That is how the alcoholics, the drug addicts, those who practice sexual misconduct, like gays, like homosexuals, can go to the Pure Land. If they accept that what they are doing is bad, is a mistake, and they admit that they can't do better, you know. While those who try to change the Dharma to accommodate it to their lifestyle and to change the Dharma so that they look better in their eyes, you know, to transform the Dharma into to use the Dharma for their various political agenda. Those who are trying to use the Dharma to justify their blind passions, or change the Dharma to justify their blind passions, those guys are not actually looking for salvation. And so they can't be saved. This is very important. As you also said many times in the previous videos about morality, being saved as we are doesn't mean that what we do is good, or that the Buddhas agree with our behavior.
Yes,
It's
indeed, Sensei,
important
thank you.
to mention this.
Yes, we have to accept that we are foolish beings. And this is part of the twofold profound conviction, which is one of the 4 elements of faith that we have discussed.
One more thing. Sorry. It is said that this is the teaching especially for the evil people. What does evil people means? It means, because actually everybody is evil, but it means that those who are aware of the evil inside them, those who accept themselves to be evil, can be saved. That's very important. You have to consider yourself an evil person in order to be saved. Yes.
Yes, you have to consider yourself a person that is not capable of leading a perfect Buddhist life. And you cannot follow the precepts, yes, let alone follow the path of compassion and wisdom that is required to attain enlightenment by yourself. So when you are absolutely sure, you know, that what you are doing is not in accordance with Buddhist morality, wisdom, you know, and precepts, then you can accept Amida Buddha's helping hand. You look at yourself and you, even though you are evil and you are foolish, you recognize that you are foolish and evil. And when you recognize this, then you recognize that Amida Buddha is not asking you any precondition for you to be saved. So you take Amida Buddha's hands, okay? It's like a person who is swimming and he says, okay, I am drowning. But you have to realize I am drowning, you know? You cannot keep swimming and then you will die. In this case, you have to recognize, okay, I need help. So you say, help. In this case, you see Amida Buddha and you take his hand, okay? But first, you have to recognize the dilemma you are in, that you are an evil person and that you cannot attain enlightenment through this evil karma. Yes, of course not.
So
And even
that's the problem of many practitioners nowadays, that they don't realize that they can't swim. They don't realize they can't traverse the ocean of suffering by themselves, you know. So they are not aware of the evil inside them. See, that's why they can't be saved. That's why not so many people go to the Pure Land. Also, this path is available right in front of their eyes. Yes, thank you,
yes,
Kosho.
yes, it's because everybody wants to play the hero, no? Wants to be
Yeah. The
like Tom
Superman.
Cruise, like Mel Gibson, no? Like, yeah, I can't do it, but at the end of the day, then you you're still trapped in samsara, no? As you said, Joshua Sensei, today's Buddhist magazines are filled with good articles about, you know, being a Buddha right now, that you have Buddha nature, that it doesn't
Lots of
matter.
smiling monks
Smiling
who
monks.
look so perfect
You're
and nice
perfect.
and calm every
Yes,
day, and they don't swear, they don't do bad things, they don't sing bad things, while the internet is filled with abusers, you know, guru this, guru that. Then you find lots of abuses.
Then you find that they are not so holy. Then you find that they
Yes.
are also human beings like us, evil
Yeah.
desires, that they also go and look things they shouldn't do, that they're like us, you know. The thing is that, but the thing is that they deny it. In our case, we recognize, like, hey, hell, you know, I like Netflix, you know, I am addicted to, you know, yes, I like women, for example. I like, I don't know, beer. You're a human being, yes, filled with all of these kind of foolish passions, yes, and you recognize this and you say, okay, how can I really attain enlightenment with this kind of mentality? Yes.
Yes.
So,
Entering Jodo Shinshu is like entering Alcoholics Anonymous and
yes.
admitting, hello, I'm Joshua and I'm an alcoholic, or hello, I'm Joshin, Joshua, Hosan, Kosho, and I can't become a Buddha. I can't save myself. I am full of blind passions. That's the first step in Jodo
Yes,
Shinshu.
and the theory is that the alcohol that we have been drinking is way more dangerous than regular beer, you know, or wine. Is the three poisons, and we have been drinking the three poisons like they were water from life after life. You know, as Shinran says, our self-power has failed us many times. Yes, who knows how many times we tried to be good Buddhists in the past, because samsara isn't old enough. Actually, it's beginningless. And who knows how many times the Buddhas have tried to help us, but we said, no, you know, I can't do it. I can't do it. Yeah, I can swim. And we drowned again in samsara. Here we are again, you know. Now this time, Amida Buddha is telling you, entrust yourself to me, say my name and go to my Pure Land. Okay, will you accept this time? So in this case, that is what Shinran is telling us to do. Yes, don't believe you are a smart guy. Consider yourself foolish because you are foolish. Yes, you will realize that if you truly look at yourself and you compare yourself with the Buddhas, you compare yourself to the great masters of the past, you will realize that you are very foolish and evil as well. Okay, so actually, chances are that if you are left at the mercy of your own evil karma, you will be reborn in the lower realms. I am pretty sure of that myself. I know what my mind is capable of when it goes wild. You know, I know that I have had many bad thoughts in my life of all sorts. I am pretty sure You know that about yourselves as well. Yes. So how can I rely on this mind? So once this body fades away, if I rely on my mind and in the karma of habitual tendencies, then my habitual tendencies will lead me to the lower realms. Okay, you have to truly feel this in your bones. Yes, and as Master Shantao says, you consider first yourself to be an evil being, constantly falling into samsara, drowning in the ocean of birth and death, lifetime after lifetime, with no chance to escape by yourself. And then, with that equal conviction, you believe that Amida Buddha has made the 48 vows, and especially the primal vow, to save you just as you are. Okay, this is the essence of the attitude we have in Jodo Shinshu. Yeah, that we should accept Amida Buddha's helping hand and consider ourselves to be just another alcoholic of the 3 poisons in samsara, as Joshua Sensei says with his famous analogy of Alcoholic Anonymous. Yes, which is also present in this book, actually, in the Tanishu. He mentions this, I think, several times. Okay, I don't know if maybe Yoshin or Hosan want to add something.
I have no problem recognizing that I have absolutely no merit. You know, I like you said about smiling, happy monks and Buddhists that put on this facade. I don't have that luxury of not drowning in samsara. And this week has been a perfect example. It hasn't been a bad week at work or anything else, but inwardly, I have to deal with the shit that comes from being, a person coming from where I came from and growing up where I grew up. And, you look at the world today. I checked briefly the news online this morning, which I usually do in the morning after my devotions. And it's like, I don't know how people can put on this bullshit facade and say, oh, all I got to do is think positive. I'm a Buddha because I've got Buddhist nature. I've got Buddha nature. So I'm just going to be a Buddha today. And it's like, come on, man. Pull your head out of your ass. It's not going to work like that. I mean, excuse my crude language, but I feel very strongly about this. We need Amida Buddha. And by we, I mean everybody needs Amida Buddha. Otherwise, it's like taking a little cheap Band-Aid and putting it on a seriously festering wound with gangrene. You can't do anything. Our piddly little merits amount to nothing. And Amida is the answer. Amida is salvation. Amida is light. And once you receive Shinjin from Amida, that light surrounds you. Even though you're swimming around in a cesspit known as Saha, you know that light is never far from you, ever. And that is so important. So yeah, that's what I got to say about that.
Namo Amida Bu. Yes, indeed. Indeed, Joshi. Yes, thank you for your comment. Indeed, now that we look at the world, as you said, it's crazy that people actually believe their own lies. Even Buddhists, I can accept that from a New Ager, but even Buddhists who have read the Mahayana Sutras and they know the dangers of karma, evil karma, and samsara, and they still think, oh yeah, you can attain the highest bhumi if you don't practice morality. I mean, I think it's like, to be honest with you, I think this is beyond stupidity. This is some kind of demonic influence. I think this is what Mara wants people to believe, that they can do without Amida Buddha. Yes.
A perfect example is a friend I knew that would always talk about, I'm going to levitate. One day I'm going to be able to fly. I will one day walk through waters here in this lifetime, and I can walk through walls and never grow old. And I said, what does that do for you? I want to be happy. I want to be happy. And even though you can't truly be happy in the Saha realm, you're not really going to be happy until you go to the pure land of Amitabha. But still, knowing that Amida has saved me, knowing that his light surrounds me, that makes me happy. Just putting on a facade and a fake smile and lying to yourself, that isn't going to make you or anyone else happy.
Yes, indeed. This is the joy of Jodo Shinshu, is to know, to be happy for the thing that we will attain in the Pure Land. Yeah, as Yosho Sensei says, like a weight lifted from your shoulders. You will be there, so it's priceless.
Otherwise,
Yes,
you're just deceiving yourself, in my opinion.
Mara often likes to play with the minds of so-called virtuous practitioners and whisper in their ear, you have enough time, be patient, rely on yourself, make another effort. Look, you are almost there. You are a better person today than you was yesterday. So there is a process of evolution and so on. Think how many beautiful experiences you had today. Oh, such a wonderful practitioner you are, until one day death comes and you die, and they die, and they die the same people, perhaps a little better, but that little better is just a very small drop of water in an ocean of poison and illusion. So yes, and so when we ask to what kind of people, as this topic of discussion is about, to what kind of people is Jodo Shinshu intended for, it is intended for people who are aware that they are evil, who are aware of their limitations, and who don't play smart in samsara. And is Jodo Shinshu a selective teaching or universal teaching? It is a universal teaching because it is addressed to everybody. The idiot, the village idiot, and the smartest person, the smartest Buddhist in a university, or the highest bodhisattva on one of the 10 bhumis. But all these things, all these people have to have in common an awareness of the fact that they need help, as Kosho Sensei said, that they have to accept Amida's helping hand. That's all these people have in common. Yes.
Okay.
Speaking of village idiots, I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
Speaking of village idiots, one of the things I saw on the news today was that Congress is considering the passing of a bill to allow for America to have a nuclear bomb that surpasses the one dropped on Hiroshima, Japan. And you have Russia and America going at it. And meanwhile, people like you and me, we just want to live simple lives. And Josho Sensei put something up on VK this morning saying, what would you do if you found out today that the world was going to end? And I loved his response. He said, I would have tea and just relax till the world ended. And I'm like, this is just what I fucking needed to hear today. It's like, because I got that news, read that on the news about the nuclear bomb. It was like someone kicked me in the stomach, and then boom, I go to BK, and there's that. It's like I would have tea, and it's like, yeah, you know what? It could end today, but I'm gonna have coffee with my roommate and chill out and just have some noodles. Then I will have coffee in the Pure Land with Amida, and
yes.
I
would have my Turkish tea as usually, say Nembutsu, then have another tea in the Pure Land with Amida Buddha, and start doing endless activities to save all beings. Yes.
Yes, I also love that post. Yeah, I commented that on Facebook. I love that
Yes.
because I also brought the Turkish tea from the temple. Joshua Sensei made of myself an addict. Turkish tea. So I brought
An
myself a
addict of
pot.
Turkish tea. Yes.
And I always drink Turkish tea, and I remember my conversations with Joshua Sensei, and I really like that post because I think it reveals the attitude of Jodo Shinshu in the midst of Mapo, in the midst of Dharma age. We are all going to die, and this world is like a cesspool, man. It's like it's as Yoshin says, it's like an asylum. Yes, and we are all going to die. But the beautiful thing in Jodo Shinshu is that we know that there is light at the end of the tunnel, you know, and there is Amida Buddha waiting for us. Yes. It's like a meeting with a friend that you have met, written letters all of your life, and you want to finally, you know, be with him forever. I mean, that's beautiful. And I think that it's also true. And if you ask a Buddhist, a random Buddhist, okay, what will happen if you go to die today? And they are clueless, most of them. They are like, oh yeah, I will go to the Dharmakaya or the light. But it's very vague. I think they are clueless. Yes, and I think this is the most important thing in Jodo Shinshu is that we have very clear position on this. Yes,
many don't even know. Actually, many Buddhist, self-power Buddhists, they assume that they will surely continue to practice the Dharma in the next life. They are sure that they will continue to evolve. You know, like spiritual evolution is something like a straight line, and you can always go in one direction. But actually, you can always fall. You know, spiritual evolution is always ups and downs, and mostly downs.
Mostly downs.
It's
yes.
not like a straight line towards nirvana. That's stupid, very stupid way to think. They are not aware of the impermanence of their so-called spiritual realization. That's yeah.
Yes, this reminds me of a very beautiful sutra called the Pansu Sutra, or the Sutra of Dust, in which Shakyamuni Buddha took a little piece of dust on his nail, and he said, monks, which is greater, the earth of this little bit of dust? He says, the monks say, of course, Lord, the dust on the ground is infinitely more greater than the one that you have on your nail. And he said, good monks, in this same way, the vast majority of beings are going to the lower realms, and this is only this quantity that I have on my nail will go up to the higher realms of the gods. There are much more sentient beings falling into the three lower realms than there are going up. So imagine that. There is a dramatic thing to say, yes, and it's coming from the lips of the Buddha himself. He's saying, look, I have transcendental power, says the Buddha, and I have seen many people falling to the lower realms, yes, and the vast majority are going to fall, yes, and we're not talking about enlightenment here. We're talking about most people are unable to keep themselves in the best neighborhoods of samsara. They cannot even do that. So we are in difficult trouble if we don't trust Amida Buddha. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Shall we go to the next question, or maybe Hosan? Do you want to add something? No.
Hosan, if you want to say something, please do.
Yes.
Yes, I wanted to add on what Joshi said. Just add on top of everything he said, only Buddhas can actually create merits, and not like unenlightened beings.
Yes, those are true, genuine merits, because the activities of the actions of Buddhas, Buddhas do things for others, for sentient beings, without being attached to the fruit of their actions, without expecting anything in return. They are indeed able to have infinite compassion and infinite wisdom. Yes. Only Buddhas have merits. This is why in Jodo Shinshu we do not think that we transfer our merits for the attainment of enlightenment. Yes,
maybe
thank you.
You could add the good article that you have on the difference between transcendental and mundane merits that you have. Maybe you could check that in the description.
In the description of this.
This is a very beautiful, very good article that describes that.